I want to know everything there is to know about you.
I'm going to introduce me.
You must have spotted her by now. She's always there.
Don't I deserve love?
Somebody has to like me best.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Michael.
And I am Scott. And how are you doing this December day, Michael?
I am very good. I am feeling very festive to talk about this person, which we are, dedicating to Christmas. Even though her filmography expands further, but we will be highlighting on the Christmas treats. I think they're mostly treats.
I think so.
As I look at my list nervously. It's all about perspective.
It
And
sure
nobody
is.
said we can't contradict ourselves on our own podcast. So
So Christmas it shall be. These are all joyous Christmas films.
we're going to be talking about The Grinch, Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, Bad Mom's Christmas, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which I believe are Christmas movie.
Oh, sure.
Bullfinger, which isn't a Christmas movie and doesn't deserve anyone's time, and much more. And if you haven't guessed it or haven't read the title already, it is Christine Baranski that we're going to be talking about today.
Woohoo! Merry Christmas from us and Christine Baranski.
Yeah, Christine Christmas is what actually we should
Christine
have called this
Christmas.
episode.
Yes, what a gift.
What a gift. Yeah, so unsurprisingly, us two gay men love Christine Baranski.
What a shocker.
She's been on our list for a long time. She keeps coming up, and I'm so grateful, Scott, that you highlighted she had so many festive films. So, we didn't really need an excuse, but here we are making up one for Christine Christmas.
Oh no, we would never need an excuse for Christine, but it just felt like such a glorious fit. And like you said, it's not just those Christmas films, it's these bigger, fun films, which, you know what, probably air around Christmas time on rotation anyway. So there's plenty to associate with Christmas and just fun, festive, good feeling. And Christine Baranski is just that in spades. She is a wonderful person to watch and therefore a delicious choice for a festive treat.
There is no one in this world, I would say, dislikes Christine Baranski.
That's very true. I think that is fact backed up by most science.
Most science. Or like the 5 people I asked before recording this evening.
That'll do.
So go on, Scott. Give us a little rundown of what has brought Christine to this point in her career.
Well, sure. So the heaven-sent Christmas gift, although not born on Christmas, Christine Baranski was actually born on May the 2nd, 1952 in Buffalo, New York. Her family heritage is Polish, with her grandparents, interestingly, having been stage actors in Poland and then at the Polish-American Theatre in Buffalo. Her father, Lucien, was also the editor of a Polish language newspaper, which I found all very fascinating. She was a student of the acclaimed performing arts school Juilliard in New York, and that's where she began to truly hone her craft, which she has blessed us all with so many, many times. Christine is an incredibly beloved and accomplished actress with a really hefty resume covering film, television, and stage. Her stage career being what really launched her, but also continued to be the staple of her life as an actor, I would say. She's racked up an impressive credits count, having starred in over 60 theatre productions throughout her career. Her first stage credit was in a production of Hamlet in 1972 in the open-air Delacorte Theatre in Central Park, New York. She has won 2 Tony Awards, both within the Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Play category, for plays The Real Thing and Rumours. And she is also much loved, of course, for her frequent appearances within Stephen Sondheim productions, such as Company, Sunday in the Park with George, Sweeney Todd, Follies, and A Little Night Music. And I should add now, at the point of recording, we've recently had the very sad news of Stephen Sondheim's passing. And thankfully, due to a film entry later in her career, we are, of course, going to loop back round to talk a little bit about Stephen and Christine. Baranski is also very widely known for her work in TV, with an equally impressively long credits list, including Sybil, which she won her only Emmy for in the Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series category in 1995. But she also cites Sybil as the bravest decision she has ever made by leaving the theatre to accept a large role in television for this show in her 40s. And during the 90s, I guess that probably was what she could consider to be a big risk for her. After Sybil, she then went on to star in Welcome to New York, Happy Family, The Big Bang Theory, and perhaps most notably as Diane Lockhart in The Good Wife, and then the spin off The Good Fight, where she became the lead. What an iconic decision to have been made there. 10 out of 10 to whoever made that call. Beyond her win for Sybil, she has also been nominated a further 14 times for Emmys. Baranski then began working in film, or not then, she began working in film in the 1980s with roles in 9.5 Weeks, Reversal of Fortune, Addams Family Values, of course. I don't know her pod favourite. Jeffrey, The Birdcage, another, don't know her favourite. Bulworth, Cruel Intentions, Bullfinger, Chicago, Mamma Mia, and Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. Very, very important entries. And then Miss Sloane and Into the Woods, which saw her fulfill another Sondheim role. Christine also landed us for our December episode, as we've mentioned, with a few Christmas entries, like we said. So we've got How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Bad Moms Christmas, and most notably, undoubtedly, Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square. So that is Christine Baranski in a nutshell.
She has truly given us so much.
Well, that is a lot right there, just to name a few.
Yeah, like I guess I would have first known her or seen her in a film with or in Adam's Family Values as the very intense camp leader or what would you call her? Like a like child camp leader.
Well, yeah. That she was the oh God, well, yeah, I don't know what you call that. Yes, the head of the summer camp.
Yeah, head of activities at the kids' summer camp for the rich kids, and she really doesn't want the Adams kids, notably Wednesday, to not partake. So it's quite aggressively trying to get them to enjoy the whole thing. And in a cast of so many terrific performances, she really does. She's very memorable.
Everyone, campers, I have a wonderful idea. Wednesday and Pugsley and young Mr. Glicker here, well, they have just never quite latched on to the Chippewa spirit, nor have some of their little comrades. Isn't that sad?
Yes!
Don't we just hate that?
Yes!
Don't we wish they would just die?
Yes!
Oh, no, we don't.
Ever since then, like I remember then seeing The Birdcage, The Grinch, all of these films in Chicago, and just thinking every time, like, yes, whatever you're bringing, I love, and I'm so grateful you're here.
Oh gosh, yes, I second that 100%. Joy. My first get in to Christine then probably fits quite nicely into why we came to Christine for our Christmas episode, which is How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000, directed by Ron Howard. For those that might happen to be unfamiliar with the story of the Grinch, it's the film adaptation of Dr. Seuss's children's classic about the green monster fellow who lives up in the hills above the town of Whoville, looking down with disdain on all the Whos, as they are called, as they prepare for some happy festive frivolity. He, however, is not into such thing, having been burned by horribly behaved children as a child Grinch himself. And Christine is delightful in How the Grinch Stole Christmas as sort of the heart or one of the hearts of the pieces. The love interest and the character who always had time for the Grinch was sweet, sees the good in him where everyone else is being incredibly mean about him. But it's a fun part in that it kind of straddles the line of it's a little airheaded, perhaps. It's a bit of an airhead type role, but where they can often be left a little empty and vacuous, she's she's so warm and lovely and crosses the lines as kind of the sexy um what word am I looking for? The sexy
It seems like she's been horny for the Grinch since she was a kid. The way she describes him when Cindy Lou, the little girl who is the one really like actively trying to get the Grinch um, involved in the community, the way that interview goes,
Did I have a crush on the Grinch? Well, of course not.
I didn't ask you that.
Oh, right.
there's like a bit where she does see the Grinch and she kind of gasps or something. The Grinch falls into her tits. It's more as an adult or older. I've not watched it for years. I was thinking, God, like this is really fun. And actually, there's a lot in the Grinch that is aimed just at an older audience than children. I think it works in both levels.
mhm.
But you're right. It is very kind of airheady. She's very passive, in it, which is a bit of a disappointment. But the film does. It's not as if all the female characters are passive because Cindy Lou is the reason the Grinch, like, I don't want to spoil it, but discovers why Christmas is important. So I forgive it a lot. She also, Christine, has such a great conflict with her neighbor Molly Shannon about the lights, and I just think it's so funny. Like it's so well judged, like this adaptation,
Yeah,
and she's very sexy. Christine Baranski is stunning. She's
yeah.
kind of styled like a Rita Hayworth in
Yes.
Gilda or something.
Oh no, she is. She's giving
And we haven't said her name, like which I think is very important. Her character name is Martha May Huvier.
it's a gorgeous name.
So when they remade it with Benedict Cumberbatch in this animated version, they got rid of this character, and I just don't understand why. Because to me, this is one of the pure joy, like the biggest parts of me enjoying this movie.
No, I didn't know that they'd removed that for the recent remake. That's quite interesting.
But let's assume like there's always a Jeffrey Tambor trying to fuck up everybody's lives. Who he plays the mayor who, as a kid, bullied the Grinch and cast him away, and now is trying to gaslight the whole town into thinking the Grinch is the worst person ever. When clearly it's Jeffrey Tambor. He's
Yeah.
right there. He's standing in front of you. He might have a weird mask nose thing, but it's Jeffrey Tambor. You could probably put good money that he's the bad person in the story. But to be honest, I didn't remember it was him until the name came on the credits because the makeup and all,
Yeah.
like apart from Christine, who looks more like herself than everyone else does, I really was like, God, that's Bill Irwin, that's Molly Shannon, that's I don't know what it is about Christine, the way her face is made up to maybe look more like a Who naturally than other people. That's not a slide. I think that's amazing. I love her face, wouldn't change it. But she doesn't look much different compared to Molly Shannon's face.
Yes. No, that's a very good point. I think she is immediately the most recognizable. Others you could go, "Oh, yes, that is that person or that." But no, straight away you're like Christine Baranski. There you are. So you're not wrong.
Or maybe they were too busy doing Jim Carrey's makeup because that sounds like it was hellish for everyone involved. Then they were
Oh,
like, let's leave Christine. She'll be all right.
oh no, for sure. And hey, there's a lot of work going into everyone else, but yeah, the work that's gone into the Grinch is makeup. Wow, winning the Oscar for best makeup actually, which is very deserved. Like you know, it's Jim Carrey because Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey, and he's unmistakably so. But within there, he is. It's incredible. The transformation is so impressive.
Well, it is the producing and directing team from A Beautiful Mind, so of course they would make a great movie of The Grinch. I always, honestly, am so shocked that the same people behind A Beautiful Mind made How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But that's what Ron Howard is very versatile. So
Well, sure.
next he'll be doing The Danish Girl too, because if Tom Hooper can do it, why can't Ron Howard?
Oh, stop! Don't even put that out there.
No, we don't need another white straight man making a trans story with other white straight people. Okay, anyway, sorry. But that is The Grinch. That is a terrific. And it's kind of like that's a part of these 90s, early 90s movies of Christine coming in for, she can be present, she might be in the whole movie, but she has these memorable moments. Like you've already mentioned The Birdcage, and highly recommend people watch it.
I normally drink vegetable juice during business hours, but for this, let's drink to Senator Keeley's daughter and our Val. I'm not exactly maternal.
Oh, I am. Oh, don't worry about that. I'm very maternal. And Albert's practically a breast.
And Bullfinger, I know you're real eager to talk about Bullfinger.
Well, Bullfinger was an interesting one. I think we knew with Christine in advance, we really knew which films we were going to revisit and dive into. And Bullfinger was one that I wasn't familiar with, but from seeing a couple of clips, I was like, oh, this has to be part of it. Like, she looks like she's having a hoot in here. But anyway, Bullfinger is a 1999 film written by and starring Steve Martin, directed by Frank Oz, and also starring Eddie Murphy. And the premise is fantastic. The premise is a really fun one in that you have this floundering, failing film producer who is going to be on his way out unless he makes another hit. He needs to get another big picture on his hands, but he goes about it in a very sort of cheap way in taking on a really bizarre script about it's so bizarre I almost can't remember, but it should be so memorable. So it's called the Chub.
I don't know the name, but it's about like basically aliens coming down, and Eddie Murphy's the part that's written for Eddie Murphy's movie star character is basically the hero of the story. It's absolute crap. I think they're trying to make a nod to Ed Wood, who
Yeah.
some people know like made these wild, wacky films that were so bad they were good.
Oh well, no, but it's just sorry to carry like the premise. So yeah, Eddie Murphy's character, he is then the star that they need to get the money. He doesn't want to be in this incredibly crazy sounding film about aliens coming down in like raindrops or something. So they decide to go about making the film with Eddie Murphy's character in it, but not telling him. So therefore you have these kind of fun setups of them ambushing him in restaurants and stuff, and him not telling the other actors, including Christine Baranski's character, that he is unaware. So they're just set up, they charge in and start delivering their lines. And even if the whole film around it is not successful, the moments with her in this are a riot. They are so funny, and especially a scene in a restaurant, and it's the first time she encounters Eddie Murphy's character. She is just so on it. Charges up to him, starts delivering this manic tirade.
When you left Phoenix, it wasn't because you wanted to raise soybeans. You had to get away. Why? Why? Was it because you wanted me and it burned inside of you?
I beg your pardon?
Come back to Phoenix. Stop this madness. Let me in on whatever mission this is that you're doing.
I mean, I love good farce, and in moments in this film, it was really good examples of farce done well.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's on a personal level, have a problem with Steve Martin in roles where he is aggressively forcing people to do as he wants for no real reason other than he thinks it's the right thing to do. Also, not a big fan of misogyny and things like that, which this film doesn't seem to have a problem with in such a big way. I mean, it's not the worst example of this from the 90s, but it's not great. But you're totally right. When it works, and Christine is so much fun. And when she like secretly meets Eddie Murphy's character to tell him how much his performance is helping hers, all of it is just so funny. Yeah, and a really great example of like her coming in and knowing what she has to bring to give the whole film or match its energy and probably increase it too. Like she really again stands out with people that literally, like if you're talking about performances that are loud, like Jim Carrey in The Grinch, Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin here, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, and Gene Hackman and Diane Wiest in The Birdcage. There's just so much that she is competing with, and she thrives.
That's such a good point. She does, and I guess it goes without saying, and we would have known that, but I hadn't necessarily thought about who she was up against in these roles. And when you look at it like that, it's like she has nothing compared to others in sort of other films we've listed so far, but always stands out, always does, against the odds almost. She is just so present and brilliant and brings so much.
As we're talking about like all those like really famous people she worked with, let's talk about this real small movie she lent her star power to give a little known performer called Meryl Streep a bit of a showcase. in the heartfelt indie drama Mamma Mia. And Mamma Mia, here we go again. Why don't we bunch them up together? Obviously, I'm joking. Meryl Streep is huge. Mamma Mia is full of both of them are full of big personalities again, and she's acting with Julie Walters, and they're like a twosome in this ensemble comedy musical. So Mamma Mia follows the story of Sophie, played by Amanda. I feel like we've done this before.
I know, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Seyfried.
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 I'm so sorry. I love her. Amanda Seyfried. So she plays Sophie, and all she wants is to have her biological father present at her wedding day. She's marrying Dominic Cooper. She lives on a Greek island with her mother, Meryl Streep, and they run a hotel. So yeah, she sends out letters to 3 men that she's found from her mother's journal. Do we know how she got their addresses? No idea, but she finds the addresses anyway. She sends them letters, and there's Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, and Pierce Brosnan, and they come to the island. But at the same time, they're preparing for this wedding, and Meryl Streep invites her 2 besties, Julie Walters and Christine Baranski, to join too.
Of course.
And that's kind of the story is about, like, who is my father? Does it matter? What is family? As well as Meryl Streep she seems a bit sheltered. She's not having so much of a great time. And it's in the first film, it's her arc to be like, no, I deserve love and I deserve fun and I deserve whatever. And Christine Baranski kind of comes in to be like, are you having sex? Like, it's kind of, or like, where's the fun? Like, where's the life?
Yes.
There is this really wonderful scene with them.
I know you're going to make a fortune with webs. With webs.
Webs.
I know you're going to make a fortune.
Sky's website.
With
It's good.
Sky's website.
It's
but
good.
Are you going to be okay until then?
I think Tanya is offering to pawn her bling.
No,
here.
seriously, Donna.
Oh my God.
You need a loan.
No, sweet. Oh God, I'm just whining. You know, me do. I don't need to be taken care of.
Yeah, but are you being taken care of?
What do you mean?
Are you getting any?
What do you mean?
I remember when that came out and thinking, we do not get enough films about women over 50, or even any women, being supportive and friendly and having a good time, essentially. And God, they're having a great time. And Christine Baranski is glamorous. She's a glamorous woman who's come to the island to shake things up. And like, we're so lucky that she was cast in this film.
Oh my God, so lucky. But it is incredible, right? I mean, Mamma Mia is the most bizarre premise, like, as a musical before this film exists, to have that, like, a woman wants her biological dad to turn up, so she sends out letters to them to come out to an island in Greece for her wedding. I mean, wacky in any way to kind of shoulder in as many ABBA songs as possible. However, the outcome in these films is just joyous, and Christine Baranski and Julie Walters, I think you have to put them both together in this, just bring even more joy to a film which is already having a lot of fun with itself as it is. But from the off, when you see Christine and Julie on this boat moving towards the island, they are just a perfect comedy double act. And you feel reassured. From there, you're like, oh, we're going to have a good time with these people. Even if you're uncertain about other things and a bit cynical and you're like, oh, that's going on, they're singing that ABBA song, this is going on. I think when you see these two rocking up, you're like, oh, there's definitely going to be a lot of fun in here. And then when they first encounter Meryl Streep's character, Donna, and reform Donna and the Dynamos, their band from their younger years, this moment where they're kind of run at each other, they have this routine which they obviously did together when they were younger, and it's something that could be garish and maybe unrealistic of a friendship dynamic, but you just don't care. It's so much fun. Oh, they are just a hoot. The three of them work so wonderfully together, and like you're saying, they obviously were having fun doing it. I think Christine Baranski said it's one of her favorite film sets to be working on because her and Meryl could go off and research. I don't know what research you'd have to do for this. Their roles over some martinis. So I'm like, oh, sign me up. This is delicious.
And the sequel, like I remember when it was announced, and I thought, how the hell can you do a sequel to Mamma Mia and it not be like
Oh,
disappointing, or
yes.
it just how can it match the energy of the first one, which seems to have captured a moment as opposed to anything else. But I'm so impressed with that sequel, on so many levels. And the sequel, so Meryl is dead, or Meryl's character is dead, and it is. I'm so
Scott.
sorry, Scott. There's something I need to say. David's dead.
David's dead. Oh, Meryl's dead.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know the David's Dead reference, please do Google Big Brother David's Dead. But in the meantime, Meryl Streep's Donna is dead. So we join Amanda
Seyfried.
Sophie, because I can't say Seyfried. We join her, and she's writing more letters because she's opening the hotel again in a big way. She does write a letter to each of the dads because, a spoiler alert for the last movie, it doesn't matter who's her biological father. She's just so delighted she has three new men. I was going to say daddies. Three like older people to look up to in her life. But she does have a letter for her grandmother. But she gets rid of that. She thinks, no, she's not coming. Cher is busy.
Oh,
Cher is too busy for this
of
shit.
course she is.
But yeah, so the film follows that, and then there's another storyline about when Meryl Streep's character was younger. But they really do beef up Christine Baranski and Julie Walters' part in it more. Like they're there to firstly support Sophie, but they're there also to mourn Meryl's Donna
Yeah.
passing away. And they've loads of great lines, like them meeting Andy Garcia for the first time is hilarious.
Your beauty comes not only from the exquisite structure of your bones and the laughter in your sparkling eyes, but from the goodness that flowers within you, like a fountain.
Have been washed and brought to my tent.
Don't think fountains flower, do they?
Mine does.
And this is Rosie.
Madam Rosie. Oh. You have the courage of a lion, and the passion of a panther, and the wisdom of a flamingo.
Are flamingos wise?
Let the man speak.
And there's also a real joy, and I didn't know this ABBA song, and now it's one of my favorites when they sing Angel Eyes. So they're kind of one-upping each other, and the way it's staged or directed, or sorry, not directed, wrong word. The way that they've adapted it is that Julie Walters is trying to tell Sophie something, but Christine just keeps barging in. And then it's like the choreography, like everything is done so well, and by the end of the song, they're like sitting, Julie Walters eating carbs, Christine Baranski's drinking wine, and Sophie's looking sad and confused. And like it is very on the nose, but it also is just so satisfying to watch. Then of course they just get into singing Dancing Queen for absolutely no reason, and it just keeps going. It's like trundles along, but you're having so much fun. Oh, yeah, and I just think I cannot wait for a third one, as I say a lot on this podcast. I
Sure.
cannot wait for Christine to sing more ABBA. I do realize when I was explaining what Mamma Mia was, I didn't once mention ABBA, but the ABBA songs are so good.
Oh, gosh, it is. It's so. They are just a lot of fun, and I think even if you want to be more sneering, about them, because people can be. It's very infectious. It's hard to not get fully involved in the fantastical fun that's going on this Greek island. But yeah, Christine and Julie, especially Christine, I think they really lean into where she was great in the first one. And in the second, it is just perfect. Her demeanor and comic timing is second to none. And then we see that used in kind of other parts that then follow, these, where people really go, oh yes, she's the one for this energy. Oh, bliss. But we
Yeah.
would be remiss to mention that in the first one, she has the iconic, Does Your Mother Know number on the beach, where she's really playing up the thirst. And man, oh man, it is one heck of a ride.
Yeah, she's so much fun.
Oh,
So
yes.
good.
It's so
And
good.
something we've not mentioned about Christine Baranski is she can sing, and she can properly sing. None
Yeah.
of this like name any most film musicals where there's some 9 who can sing in that. I mean, no, plenty of them can sing, but Daniel Day-Lewis certainly can't. Nicole Kidman, as much as I love her, is no real singer. There is a proper singer in Christine Baranski.
Yeah. Oh no, she's a very gifted, especially for the musicals. She's a fabulous musical vocalist. You could go down into a real fun wormhole by watching Christine singing in many various ways. Always a joy.
So we Mamma Mia, I would think both of those films are Christmassy films. They're the type of films that are on at Christmas. Because I guess they're about family and ABBA and just about, being kind to everybody. The one Christmas movie I've never watched before with Christine that I watched for this podcast is A Bad Mom's Christmas. Or Bad Moms, did I say that right? Bad Mom's
A Bad Mom's
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
And it's now going to be a staple every year.
Oh, good, as it should be. Oh, the Bad Moms. They're a good time. It was. I really think that Bad Moms almost is better than it had any right to be. I went and saw the first one in the cinema. I think I was having a bit of a low day, to be honest. So maybe I was really set up to have a good time. But I had the best time. It made me feel so much better. So when I heard that there was a Christmas sequel with Christine Baranski, I was front of the queue, to be honest. Um, and hey, it's not the best film in the whole wide world, but if you want Christine Baranski as the MVP that she always is, then this is a lot of fun to get into. She plays Mila Kunis, who's the lead character in Bad Moms. She plays her mother, who turns up prior to Christmas to run the ship how she wants it to be. She believes Christmas should be a certain way and follow all of these routines. We must go to the Nutcracker. I have to host a party for everyone. It's all of this very socialite, stuffy approach to it that she can't quite shake. She's very traditionalist. And then we have Susan Sarandon as Catherine Hahn's mom, and Cheryl Hines as Kristen Bell's mom. So they're all showing up around Christmas time and creating problems for each of their daughters in different ways. And it's about the bad moms, the original bad moms, the trio, going against what their mothers are telling them and deciding to find their own joy in Christmas, whilst still having battles with each of their own mothers, and trying to find middle ground so they can all enjoy the festivities.
The film starts off with Mila Kunis's character saying, "All that any mom wants is for their kids to have an amazing Christmas, but it's insane as you have to buy gifts for everyone, including my barista."
It's about expectation and going against the sort of the parent-teacher association type stuff, and working against that, and these three befriending each other and helping each other get through that. So no, the first one is very different, and I think it's actually quite refreshing, I found, in many ways.
Again, like going back to that Mamma Mia moment with there's these women just having fun and not really being whatever. I know these women are being pigeonholed as mothers, but we don't really see these characters in general having fun this way. Usually they're strict or they're upset or they're not present, but just to have them as the focus is positive. It's all very light, like that's the intention of it, and that's how it works. And if you're into if a film starring this group of people interests you, then I think you'll enjoy it. I, of course, particularly love any moment Susan Sarandon and Christine Baranski had together.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
ISIS, like the terrorist organization.
Oh, yeah.
And then, they obviously have very different views, but they learn that they get support from each other too. And the film has a beat to allow, it's hard being a grandmother and to watch your child make mistakes. So there, I would have given it a bit more room for that sort of development of the characters.
Yeah.
It's not interested in that. It's also kind of like a cult, like describing Christian Baranski as someone wants to bring them to the Russian Nutcracker. I would have been a kid that loved that. So instead, they go on like a trampoline, throwing balls at each other. I mean, but it's not made for me.
No, hey, no, you're not wrong how terrible of them to be bashing theatre in that way, but I think it's bashing stuffiness rather than Russian theatre. But she has so many fun lines in it. It's like, pick a moment when she opens her mouth, the put downs that come out of her mouth to her daughter are going to be a joy. If you're a Christine Baranski fan or otherwise, you're just, everything she says is delicious.
The kids and I are going to spend the entire Christmas Eve day sledding. And then we're going to come home, bake cookies, and watch Love Actually.
Dumb movie.
Then we're going to spend all day in our pajamas until my friends come over for dinner, when we are going to order Chinese takeout from Mr. Wings.
The horror.
Funny enough, Into the Woods was suggested on a platform to me as a Christmas film. And I guess because it's fairy tale-ish. I mean, this is where me and the marketing of a film like that confuses me nonstop. It's like, it's a Stephen Sondheim, brilliant musical on stage. It is supposed to be dark and twisted. Just because there are fairy tale elements in it does not mean it's for children or it's for Christmas. But then this is where we go into like the culture snobbery thing again of like, okay, Into the Woods wasn't made for me. It was made for a bigger audience than those who would go see it in the West End or Broadway or wherever. But I guess we can class it as a Christmassy movie as well. Why not?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned in the introduction, Stephen Sondheim passed away at the end of November at 91 years of age. Sounded like, I don't want to, I mean, as much as I find that it is upsetting, he was 91. He was, when you hear how people talk about him, like he knew that he was celebrated and loved. He had his Thanksgiving dinner with friends and then passed away suddenly. So like, what a nice way to go if someone like that has to go. And film-wise, Stephen Sondheim is a really interesting one in that we don't have as many adaptations of his work as you might think. It's also I mean, I think a lot of people, like, he has key works, let's say, like Sunday in the Park with George, Sweeney Todd, people will know, and then he has other things that people just would not be aware of, like Roadshow or Pacific Overtures, which is grand. There are reasons why people don't remember those, but he has quite a lot of musicals, and only a few have been turned into films, including Into the Woods. And Into the Woods is probably his most successful commercially. Maybe a fact, maybe not, but I believe it to be his most successful
Let's go with that.
commercial. Sorry, his commercially most successful stage show. And the film was it was adapted into a film in 2014 by Rob Marshall. And the story, in a nutshell, is this couple, the baker and the baker's wife, who would like a child. They are given some beans to help them by a witch, and they have to navigate through a fairy tale world, which includes Rapunzel and Cinderella and Red Riding Hood, amongst others, to reach their goal. And a lot of things happen. There's a lot of characters on stage. It's kind of overwhelmingly exciting because all these like weaving storylines come in and out and characters pop out and and then there's a narrator in the film. I guess because we're very used to having multiple strands of storylines and loads of characters, I think that sort of element is lost. Overall, I think Rob Marshall does a really good job at telling a story, a kind of a complicated story, in this form. It's more cinematic than a film we will go on to talk about, say Chicago. In that Chicago, all the numbers are on stage, and there's a reason, there's a kind of an excuse or an explanation of why they're being performed. Into the Woods, they just sing, like they just sing. They're just going around their business. It's grand, and it's enjoyable. I think the problem with the film is aiming for too broad an audience, so it neuters it, like it neuters the whole experience of the film. Um, like the baker's wife in particular, which is a story I really love about her leaving her kind of leaving her home and finding out all of these different alluring aspects to life, really is in one particular moment adapted in a way that makes it like kind of renders it senseless.
Mm.
So she kind of supposed to have an affair with a prince, but in the film it's like he barely kissed her. Um, there's a few things like characters die, but you're not clear if they have died, and they don't want to show it. I'm not sure why what those decisions were.
Disney.
And yet Disney, but yet they'll have Johnny Depp playing the wolf who is like lusting over a little girl. So
Yeah.
who so there's a few weird choices there, but overall it's good, and all the performances are, I would say, from very good to amazing, like brilliant. Like I think the performances in it are
Yeah.
pretty solid. I would have there were versions that were going to be made before this and all this, and I as much as I badmouth Meryl Streep in this podcast, I do tend to like her. It's a shame she was cast in this, I think, because there are many more people that could have done a lot more with that part. But
Yes.
having said that, she is good. Like they're all
She's so
good.
good. Yeah, she is so good. Not necessarily worthy of the Oscar nomination she received for it, but hey, it's Meryl Streep and they love to throw them at her. She's fabulous in it and is having so much fun, but it's just too obvious. And I think that's the thing. And you hit the nail on the head with suggesting they're going for too broad an audience, because in the casting reflects that. It's sort of got star wattage where the star wattage does not help. Johnny Depp in particular as the wolf, as you say, it's actually quite icky, and only ickier now as time has moved on. But across the board, the casting choices are often fairly obvious, and I find that a shame. But there are some inspired casting choices in here as well. Christine is having a great time in a small role. I don't think that's necessarily inspired, because she has worked with Rob Marshall before and obviously is a Sondheim staple. So she was going to be in there somewhere, and I'm very grateful she was, because she brings the right energy and voice very naturally to the film. In fact, probably the most natural fit in the whole film of many cast members. But shout outs to the MVPs for me in this, and I feel very weird saying this, but Chris Pine and Billy Magnuson are a joy in Into the Woods.
I agree. They're wonderful. I also love Emily Blunt, and I
She is
think
very
Emily
good.
Blunt in a part that really has like really taken a lot of like the depth of it, which Sondheim had put in there. She still manages to convey all the right emotion. Yeah, she's terrific. She is the type of performance, like I remember watching it and I'd already liked her because Deborah Wears Prada, but I saw it and I thought, no matter about the rest of this film, like I will forever like you. Um, I mean, she needs to stay away from Rob Marshall. I did like Mary Poppins Returns, but I would love to see her do a musical that doesn't require Rob Marshall to put some kind of Disney-fied, as you're saying, like a Disney-fied view on the world. She would be amazing in a dark musical or darker musical.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And even James Corden is grand.
And yeah, and that's fair to say. That's very fair to say. That yeah, this is kind of as good as he's been in these types of roles on screen. It's very easy to lambast him, because there is a huge frustration in the fact he always gets cast in things when there are definitely better performers who could do the job. However, here he is fine here, and maybe that's the problem, because that's maybe when they all rolled on from off the back of Into the Woods.
Probably, yeah. And we should, I mean, quickly touch upon it. Is Chicago, which is the film like his first film, Rob Marshall's, and he kick-started alongside others, but this was the big musical that made it possible for other movie musicals to be made. And as much as I think his camera work or the cinema element of it is kind of bland compared to other other people that could have done a better job, like Bob Fosse never would have done it as blandly as
Sure.
that.
Yeah, okay.
The performances, like the whole thing is just such a ride. Like Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Richard Gere, Queen Latifah, Christine Baranski as Mary Sunshine, a journalist very excited to talk to Roxy Hart or whoever is the flavor of the month in this jail cell. They're just all a hoot. Maya in Cell Block Tango, also a hoot.
I agree with what you're saying. I think it could have been made more interestingly, and sure, if Fosse had done it himself, it would have been incredibly different. But I love it, and I although I understand what you're saying and get it, I think you're right. I still think it's all fabulous. I have such a good time with it. I think it's a really, really great example of a stage musical to film. It could be put up there as high as many others because it's very, very solid and deserving of the accolades it got. Catherine Zeta-Jones in this film, I am obsessed with. I cannot get enough of her. And Christine, a fairly small part as Mary Sunshine. She's a journalist dipping in and out of the prison to get the scoop on the tales of murder and crime and all of this. And there's an amazing scene which is led by Richard Gere's Billy Flynn, called "They Both Reached for the Gun," and the setup is they're all marionettes, and he's the puppeteer in it, and Christine Baranski is also one of the puppets singing, and she's perfect in that moment. Her voice is perfect for the role. How she acts as the marionette is really wonderful to watch, as is Renée Zellweger in the same scene. But it's a really fun. That whole set piece is great.
Understandable. Yes, it's perfectly understandable. Comprehensible. Not a bit reprehensible. It's so defensible.
And I guess we should, before wrapping up and doing the quiz, let's talk about her most recent movie, which is both a musical and a Christmas film called Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square.
Oh wow, what a movie, what a treat. When I heard that there was a Dolly Parton Christmas movie coming to Netflix starring Christine Baranski in the lead role, I was quaking in my little booties for what we were about to get. Sadly not the best thing in the world, but it's quite something. So it sees Christine Baranski as a, gosh, what would you call her? Because
Well, she basically inherits the town. She's like a businesswoman. I don't know if it's ever made
yeah, because
incredibly
she's just sort
clear
of giving out
what
these
she does.
like eviction notices to kind of get everyone out of this town that she grew up in, but has then become jaded by life and everything, and feels happy to do it. So therefore, the angel Dolly Parton must come to turn things around in time for Christmas, so that these poor people are not kicked from their homes in this town that was once so special to Christine.
Yeah. Oh, it's so that when Into the Woods, like it starts off with a song where all the characters saying, I wish more than anything." In Dolly Parton's Christmas Square, it's clearly someone loves musical theater, knows that that's how a musical would start, but without any, I'm not going to say without any talent, because of course Dolly has written these songs, but without really thinking too much hard about it, I would say, because it's just like, it's Christmas, this is a town, like that's it. And then all of a sudden you see Christine Baranski in the car and she's like,
Gotta get out of this town. There's no reason to wait around. Forget the past, be free at last. Gotta get out of this town.
this is like a level of like an over-eager drama teacher writing a musical for your school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so endearing because Christine Baranski. So we have her in the center, and then obviously Dolly Parton's kind of literally floating around.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the actors are not to the caliber of Christine, but she elevates the whole thing. And it's Scrooge. It's basically Christmas Carol, and she's Scrooge, but it does go into a lot of like religious elements, and there's for those who make it towards the end, there is kind of a feminist arc, you could argue, in it, but then it kind of undoes that. It's very much like family, and when I say family, a kind of a heteronormative family is where it's at, and we should prioritize it. But it's lovely. It's like it's a nice film.
Yeah, it is. It's very Hallmark TV movie style. It's all very clearly on a set, but that often works for Christmas films. You get these endless things which run on TV channels that just appear for the Christmas season every year and then disappear again. And the viewership on those channels, I'm sure, is tremendous because people go back to that stuff, and the quality isn't so important when it comes to Christmas films. So actually, in many ways, this is a step up because you do have Christine at the heart, who is delivering a really good performance against other performers who are far lesser than she. But if only to watch it for Dolly Parton at the beginning as like a homeless person, but you can't make Dolly Parton look like as a homeless person but still be Dolly Parton, and the result is quite something. It's hysterical.
It's the most stylish homeless person you've ever seen. And also, because we both badmouth the rest of the cast, but there is one person in it who plays this child called Sela Kimbrough Jones, and she's someone who is quite in quite a monumental way been affected by Christine Baranski's behavior. She is the star. Like, she's the reason. She's the Tiny Tim. That's part of the whole structure.
Yeah.
But she gives that in spades, this actor, and I would love the idea in a few months' time we see a film. It's like, oh my god, that's the woman from, or the little girl from, Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square. But yeah, you know what? I would say, or actually, Scott, what of these Christmassy movies would you recommend people watch?
I think How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a real crowd pleaser, and I think it really does work. There are moments I enjoy less now as an adult than I did as a kid, and there are things I find quite irritating about it. But on the whole, I think it's a really good time. I think Jim Carrey is doing an excellent job, and the cast is all really special, except Jeffrey Tambor, as mentioned earlier. So I would suggest that of the three is probably the pick, right?
Well, I'd say The Birdcage every time.
Oh, well, okay, we're going down that route.
No. If we're talking about Christmas movies, I think the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, too. I would say that. But do you know what? Actually, like, I really love. I feel like I was being harsh on Chicago. Chicago, for some reason, feels Christmassy too.
Yeah,
and I also think it's a sort of kind of. There's something about that sort of musical and how it operates that I would also like to watch over Christmas if I hadn't just watched it there.
No, but it is, and I think it's lit in a certain way, and it's also a lot of snowy scenes in Chicago, so it is fitting. It would be, if we were going aside from pure Christmas movies, Chicago would be my pick of everything we've discussed here.
Well, we're going to do the quiz.
Gorgeous.
So do you have a prize in mind?
Oh, I don't. I haven't thought of what I would like. A Christmas Christine gift.
Well, how about a Christmas party with the Mamma Mia cast?
Oh, well, hey, who would say no to that? Yes, please.
And it can be Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, so you get Cher and Andy Garcia.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take that.
Great. Well, let's Fingers crossed for you. Okay, so first question. Who was considered for the part of Tanya in Mamma Mia before it went to Christine?
Oh. Oh gosh, I can't even think. Does it feel apt as well, based on what we saw of Christine? No, does it feel really different?
I was surprised by this, and at first I thought it was a lie, but then I looked into it, and both of them have talked about this.
Oh, I don't. Who am I going to guess? I'm just going to throw. I'm trying to think of a certain. God, imagine it was going to be. Imagine it was Glenn Close.
Oh, what? They just FedEx Glenn the script, and she's like, "Oh, I love the part of Donna." And they're like, "Oh, we're thinking of you for Tanya."
And they were like, "No, send it elsewhere."
No, I will not accept that part. She would have been great. Well, who would you have cast then as Judy Walters? If you have Glenn Close, you need to have like another kind of proper big actor to be the British person.
Oh,
Maggie Smith, Glenn Close, and Meryl Streep.
Well, a good time, all the same. I somehow can't see it.
No, the energy on the set. I know Maggie is probably great fun and all, but I don't imagine her being the happiest person on a Greek island.
No, I don't suspect
like that.
so.
I'll give you a hint. This person is part of the Mamma Mia universe.
Cher?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
And Cher was busy touring, I think, is what was the reason given. But I mean, how things worked out is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, we would have lost a really special moment in the second film had that have happened.
So, next question. I'm going to list some celebrated American TV shows, and I want you to tell me whether or not Christine has guest appeared in these.
Okay.
So first, Will and Grace.
Will and Grace. Oh. Now that would feel like a definite yes, so much so that I'm going to say no.
Sadly, no. I would have assumed so too.
Yeah.
Friends.
Friends. Nope, she was never in Friends.
No, thank God. Stayed away from that. No, Friends is grand. Third Rock from the Sun.
Third Rock from the Sun. Yes, Christine was in Third Rock from the Sun.
You're right. Frasier.
Frasier, yes, and she was Emmy nominated for her work in Frasier.
True.
Guest actress.
And finally, The Simpsons.
The Simpsons. Oh gosh, there's so much Simpsons episodes she must have. I'm going to say no, though.
She did, and it's only very recently. So do you know I mean, it's been talked about a bit on social media, but she appears in the episode called "Portrait of a Latchkey on Fire," and it's where Smithers has a date with a person voiced by Victor Garber. So she's kind of, it's quite a significant episode that she.
Yeah, this is really recent. Like within the past few weeks, this has been on TV. Ah.
Yeah, so what a delight. That warmed me up so much when I realized she was part of that episode. What a dream. Not seen a new Simpsons episode in I don't know how long.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Finally, what is the greatest musical sequel ever made?
Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
It was Grease 2, but you were very close. No, you're dead right. You were dead right. Grease 2 is close there though.
Good.
Okay, I had a whole different thing set up, but for the next round. But as Stephen Sondheim passed away, I thought it was a great time to celebrate him, and also the energy that Christine brings to films. So I have a few clips of Sondheim songs being used in films, and I want you to tell me what the film is. You'll get a point basically for if you tell me what the film is, who's singing it, and what musical it's from.
Okay. Great. All but films. Sondheim songs in films. Okay.
So the first one is
someone to hold you too close, someone to hurt you too deep, someone to sit in your chair, to ruin your sleep. That's true, but there's more than that. Is that all you think there is to it? You have so many reasons for not being with someone, Robert, but you haven't one good reason for being alone.
Oh, I think that's a really, really special moment in a film I'm a big fan of. That is Adam Driver singing "Being Alive" from Company in Marriage Story.
full marks. Yes, yeah, such an amazing moment.
Yes.
I remember watching it being like, oh, what a great way to use this song. Also, Scarlett Johansson actually sings another Sondheim song earlier in the film. But yeah, such a great version of it as well.
And specifically another song from Company. Company is such a great musical. Oh, I love it.
Okay, full marks. So let's see how you'll do in the next one.
Good times and bum times, I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here.
Darn right you are.
Plush velvet sometimes, sometimes just pretzels and beer, but I'm here.
Oh, God, this is the best round I think we've ever had. I'm feeling so much joy just listening to these. Oh, that is Shirley MacLaine singing "I'm Still Here" from Follies in Postcards from the Edge.
Yes, and she's. Do you know who is she playing in Postcards on the Edge?
Yeah, even better, playing Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah, what more could you want from a film? And you're watching Meryl Streep watch Shirley MacLaine do this and thoroughly loving it.
Oh, what a film. I love Postcards from the Edge. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
When we do our episode on that little known actor Meryl Streep, we can talk about Postcards from
Don't
the
know
Edge.
her. Perfect. Oh.
So number 3.
Number 3.
What in the hell are you doing here?
Well, I knew you'd be discussing stopping the show, and I just thought how disappointed all the kids would be.
You scheming little bitch.
Please, I'm a child.
You think for one.
Oh, save the speech, Rummy. She's fucked, I'm ready. And the goddamn show must go on. So let's get cracking, shall we?
I'll drink to that. Here's to the girls who just watch. Aren't they the best?
Oh, wow. Well, more Company for us all to enjoy. So that, I believe, although I've not seen this film, is Anna Kendrick singing Ladies Who Lunch from Company in a film called Camp.
Correct, and Sondheim himself is in this movie.
Brilliant.
It's a real theater nerd sort of movie to watch when you're your teenage years. It's fun, and she is amazing. So yeah, as you heard there, she basically poisons a woman that got the part she wanted, turns up in her costume and prop, ready to take over the part.
Oh.
It's a joy. Okay, so full mark so far. So let's go on to the next one.
There are giants in the sky. There are big, tall, terrible giants in the sky. When you're way up high and you look below at the world you left and the things you know, little more than a glance is enough to show you just how small you are.
Okay, so I'm sure it's Lady Bird, and I'm sure it's Lucas Hedges who is singing. And I can't remember, is the song just called Giants in the Sky from Into the Woods?
Yeah, they do. So they do a production of another Sondheim musical, Merrily We Roll Along, but the audition piece is this, yeah, and it's beautiful. It's where Lady Bird sees Lucas Hedges and falls for him. She's like, oh wow.
Oh.
Okay, next one. You're doing so well.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the best I've ever done, and then I'm going to derail it in this like really obvious one.
Not going left. Not going. Oh Lord.
Oh, because that was like I don't know with this one, but even the song I need to, because I wasn't getting it until that last line in the song.
What I'll say is, if you want a hint, you will have seen this performed by an incredible person, musical theatre actor.
Yes, absolutely. It is. Thank you. That's it. It's all clicked into place. It's Losing My Mind from Follies, but I don't know who that is and in what film, sadly.
So it's Daniel Craig in Knives Out.
Oh, right. Oh, fun.
Which is a
Okay.
real fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that fun? Okay. Last but not least.
Listen to the rain on the roof go pit pitty pat, pit pitty pat, pit. Sit kitty cat, we won't get home for hours. Relax and listen to the rain on the roof go blunk blunk a blink, blunk blunk a blink. Let's have a drink and shelter from the shower.
Ooh, is it? Oh no, it's one of two. No, it's Follies. Rain on the Roof, Follies, and I think. Nah, no, I feel
Go
like
on.
because you're putting it in, it makes sense. Is it Hugh Grant in Paddington 2?
It is Hugh Grant, yeah, in Paddington 2, correct. Well, let's say Hugh Grant and his jailmates singing Rain on the Roof. When people talk about post-credit sequences, like they bore me when they're like, "Oh, Iron Man lifted his hand" or something. Like Hugh Grant singing a Stephen Sondheim song in a glittery prison uniform is where it's at. That's the only post-credit sequence I want to talk about.
That was so lovely. That was my favorite quiz round I think we've done so far. It was a very
I'm
lovely
glad you
one.
think so because you didn't win. You lost. So no, I'm joking. You've won. You get your Christmas party with, and
Yay.
you know what? Fuck it. Let's, as well as the Mamma Mia crowd, let's just have all the Sondheim gang in. So you'll
Oh
have like Bernadette
please,
Peters
Patty.
and Donna Murphy and all these amazing people. Imelda, they'll all be there.
Patty LuPone.
I don't know. Glenn Close is who I want. I
Oh
choose
please.
over that.
That's enough of your nonsense.
But let's talk about what we want for Christine, because it's really interesting. So she has the Gilded Age coming out with this big HBO series from Julian Fellows, from Downton Abbey fame and Gosford Park, like acclaim. I want to say I love Gosford Park, so this is why I like Julian Fellows. But yeah, she seems to be like the lead in this historical drama, which is more of a dramatic role for her than comedy, although she's still playing the uppity sort of woman.
Okay.
But what else do we want? Like, what's on your list?
Where should I start with my list? That was a really interesting one, actually, because I forgot that she was doing that, even though you highlighted it to me not that long ago. And the first thing I wrote down was like a Merchant Ivory type period drama. So maybe it was just like lodged in there somehow, and that's like maybe that's kind of happening. But I want maybe less Downton Fellowsy type and more really Merchant Ivory quality period drama at its finest. And she is the American who's coming into, I don't know, a stately home and shaking things up. I'm not sure which text that would work from, but there must be plenty to choose from where that is a part. It just feels like a natural fit. It's something I would love to see her in. It would allow her to wear amazing clothes. But yeah, I don't want this really polished Downton type thing. I want something a little more. Oh, I don't know, just reminiscent of those 80s type, with that kind of a nice haze on film. Oh, it would just be so lovely. I would almost want to go back in time. I would want her in the future, but in an 80s Merchant Ivory film.
But what about someone who, like, this is your idea, but Terence Davies kind of does a similar thing, and
Oh.
like when you think of Sunset Song
Oh
or House of
gosh.
Mirth or those sorts
Yes.
of
He
films.
could absolutely. That is amazing. Absolutely. That would be so great. She could easily slot in there in anything. I just saw his latest not so long ago at the London Film Festival, and I loved it. But I'm always a big fan of Terence Davies. So yeah, Terence Davies doing a a period drama based on a nice hefty text and something she can really chew into, and I think she would bring so much. I think that would be an Oscar nom right there if you got the right part for her in something like that. I think Match Made in Heaven. Oof.
Do you know what I was thinking? And this is wild. So I'd love to see her in some kind of sci-fi or dystopian piece. And the film that jumped into my mind was Under the Skin, the Jonathan Glazer film. And I would love her to be this. I don't know. I would just love to see her in that world. And because it's so foreign to what she's done already, but something that with a director who's so focused on her just being and her being kind of I don't even really know what I want out of this, but for her to not be either a victim or a commander or anything like this, and to have no sort of understanding of the world. I just love the idea of her just being dropped on the earth and there being a story from that. I don't know why. I just think for her and her presence that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
See, I'm usually good at the story, but all in this point, all I want is a setup, and I want them to just run with it.
No, it makes sense. I can see it because she is the reason she always stands out is because she I don't know, she almost could be like an alien dropped into Earth because she's so magnetic. There's something else going on there which can't just be attributed to humankind. No way. Christine Baranski is of somewhere far greater than here. Um, that's a far more interesting one than any of mine. But I'm still going to jump into this one, and I'm going to need your help again. You helped me so well with the last one. And hey, it's very obvious leapfrogging on from what we were just talking about, but there's surely another great Stephen Sondheim adaptation that can happen. My favorites, or not necessarily my favorites, I've maybe not seen enough of his, but I love Follies and Company especially so much that I would love a version of them, but I cannot imagine them on screen. Um, but if you can think of a way to make that work, then I mean, it just makes sense. But also, I should say, I'm saying those two because she specifically could slot into specific roles in either. Um, I can't think of the roles, but the Elaine Stritch part and Patti LuPone and everyone who played it in Company, and then the part that was well, to be honest, a few parts in Follies would work for Christine.
Because she did in a concert performance, she played Carlotta that sings "I'm Still Here," which we
Yeah,
just heard
yeah,
Shirley MacLaine do. But then I very luckily saw her at the Royal Albert Hall in London play Phyllis, which is like the co-lead in Follies, who has songs like "Could I Leave You."
yeah.
But also Follies just full of great. I mean, Phyllis, it would be a terrific part. So you basically require someone who is glamorous, kind of has these one-liners, cynical, hates her husband. Like, could I leave you? Is just like, could I leave you? Well, could I leave the money, and could I leave the house, and could I leave these things? And it's really well observed and contains a lot of complicated emotions, as people who love Sondheim would expect from a song. So I'd cast her in those two roles. The other one I was thinking, and I actually don't know what age this character's supposed to be, but Little Night Music, Desiree.
Oh, sure.
Desiree, so it's already been turned into a movie, not very successfully, with Elizabeth Taylor in this part. And this part's been played by Judi Dench and all sorts of people on stage. But that's another one. But to be honest, I think Follies would be my choice of a film to be adapted, or a stage show of his to be adapted. Apparently, Dominic Cook, who directed the National Theatre production at the in London, he's uh, developing a film version. I think
Oh.
it could work really well. There's something really beautiful. Follies is about a group of showgirls returning to the theatre as it's being demolished, and it's the ghosts of their former selves are there, and you hear echoes of their stories, and it's about expectations on life and disappointment and love and loss and everything, and also just about these women having a great time. Um, so yeah, I think that would make a great film. I mean, of course, I'd be going for someone. I'd love, like, when you think of ghosts and stuff, like imagine Paul Thomas Anderson or somebody doing that, or Celine Sciamma, or somebody
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
somebody, I'd be going way, and this is where my whole like Rob Marshall of Chicago becomes the thing. It's like I'm so like I want it cinematic, and I want to avoid the like, oh, let's make it more for everybody. Um,
Yes, because it has to have that. Ooh, that sort of there's a darkness, a melancholy, but it has to be. It can't be that over stylized version of that which we get from Rob Marshall. It should still be stylish, but not that harder edge thing. It should be a more dated, hazy, smoky, ghost like you're saying the ghost.
if if we had producers listening to our show, we'd want to have what you call, like, stocks in smoke machines, because we've essentially
Well,
just
that's what I've literally
suggested
saying every
three.
time. So maybe I just go back and say also for this, Terence Davies directing a musical,
Yeah,
like
he would be. He literally his
it,
films and ghosts and yeah. So
yeah,
it's great.
that's it. That
Yeah.
again.
So I think a Sondheim musical. On that, one of my suggestions is a musical that has been turned into a film too, but not very well. And is Mame. Mame is a story of a real life person, and it's
No, no, I'm just laughing at Mame. It has quite a reputation.
oh yeah, the film has Lucille Ball in it. So it was really successful on Broadway with Angela Lansbury and Beau Arthur, who people might know from Golden Girls, and then they turn into a movie with Lucille Ball, and the film is, as you're saying, not very good. But the play itself, although the or musical has a few, it's not perfect, could easily be adapted to make a great film. With in the right hands and with the right person, and she would be terrific. So it's kind of about a woman who's having a great old time. Then she has to look after the son of her brother who's just passed away, and it's kind of about how they cope. And there's also, it goes through the Great Depression and World War II. So yeah, I totally do that. There's loads of fun songs in it as well. So I definitely would love to see her do more, more musical film.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, here for the musicals. Well, I'm going to do what you normally do so well, and my last one is I'm going to pitch a story idea. Um, because, and I did quite a bit of leapfrogging here, but it was nice. It was a very happy experience for me, and I hope others share in this, in that so the director and writer of Mamma Mia 2, Ol Parker, who we have spoken about on this podcast before, is also the writer of the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel films. And there's a there's a sense of humor that he obviously understood in writing. Like with Mamma Mia 2, he did essentially improve on the first one, um, and really leaning into using Christine Baranski and Julie Walters. So, like I was saying earlier, I find their chemistry so wonderful that I want to see more of that, but in a different context. So, Ol Parker writing, directing something for them. I'm thinking something British set, and I've just spent some time with my friend Vicky uh, in a place called Saltburn on the Sea up in the northeast coast of England, which is a little seaside town. And I kind of started thinking about Christine being a traveler coming into town, not quite fitting in and getting it, staying at this hotel probably run by Julie Walters, maybe like a little pub inn type place. But then there being incremental weather, which means she gets stuck. And I think this has come from also at the moment, there's been some terrible weather here. And there's this story of these people in Yorkshire who've been trapped in a pub. So now I'm thinking of this kind of thing where they've been snowed into a pub for a few days. This like Oasis tribute band and lots of other people trapped in this pub and have been for a few days. So something like that where they end up having to stay shuttered in, and at start they're at odds with each other. Christine is just not getting what's going on in this place. It's not for her. She wants to leave. Julie Walters is quite the opposite. She's very proud of her little pub and doesn't understand why she's being so sullen. And then maybe by the firelight one night, her and the other people stuck in this place decide to wheel out the piano. And it's a chance for her to sing another Sondheim song as she starts to loosen up in her surroundings as they become friends. And we get from this sort of warring, bickering couple to being the best of pals over this period of being locked in somewhere.
I love it. So I thought you were going for horror film when you mentioned Oasis tribute band locked in a pub,
No, but they're not in my story. I'm just saying where I got the idea of being snowed into a pub in remote England somewhere.
I'm imagining, and I don't know who, because I was thinking like Quentin Crisp, but of course he's passed, so he can't be in it. But someone like that who's like, I'll play a number, or like that's how it starts. Like his way of dealing
Yes.
with it is the piano, and then by the end they're like singing side by side or something in a
Yes.
Sondheim, which is all about like we're together and whatever. I don't know. Yeah, that is a terrific idea. My mind just is like jumping with all the people. The truth is, Meryl will have her dirty paws all over that.
Oh, yeah,
She'll be
yeah.
like,
She'll be
"Oh,
in there.
I'll pass it on to Christine."
Well, not allowed because I'm taking credit, and that's where the
No, no,
idea comes
no.
from.
I think that would be terrific. Oh, I love it. You could have just so many fun people in it. We could
Yeah.
have like the alumni of our podcast. So you could have like Celia Imrie, Harriet Walter,
Oh, yeah.
Fiona Shaw,
Yeah. Yes.
Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane can play the part I'm thinking of by the piano. I
There
love
we
it.
go. Oh gosh, the alumni, put them in. That's a gorgeous idea.
I love that. And what a note to end on. The sing songs they'd have, which I also consider a British thing to like sing song, like British wartime sort of shit. So yeah, sounds lovely.
Mm.
I love all these ideas. I love our little Sondheim celebration, and I love talking about Christine.
Me too. That was a very lovely thing to do on a very, very cold December day. It's really setting in here, so nothing warmed my heart and insides quite like watching Christine Baranski movies and then getting to chat about them with you.
Yeah, and next time we will be talking about another musical theatre person who sadly this person hasn't sang on the big screen yet. Am I wrong? I don't think so. But it's for my birthday episode. We're getting away. We're talking about someone I'm absolutely loving. Sorry, I've always absolutely loved, and I am so excited to do that. So please join us again. Please subscribe. Tell other people. Come on, you must know at least one other person that likes Christine Baranski and wants to hear us
Come on.
gush about her.
Let's get the Christine love to elevate this one to everyone's ears this Christmas. Spread the Christmas cheer. Spread the Christine cheer.
Yeah. Instead of like if you want to give us, me and Scott, a Christmas present, just share on. Tell at least one or two other people how much you like it. And if you really like it, please do rate us. And if you don't like us, Scott's on social media. Absolutely love to hear from you.
Oh no, not for Christmas. Don't do that. But we welcome all the lovely thoughts. They are most helpful. And yeah, just the Christmas present that we would really, really love.
So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Have a wonderful day, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.